morning. You're here already. Good morning. Who can whistle? Hello. Good morning, everybody. Wow, this is awesome. I feel bad interrupting. This is so good. It's like a party. What a beautiful room. Happy New Year, everybody, and welcome. Our kickoff is the 11th day of the year. I think that's the earliest we've managed to have it. And so we're starting with the spring market. We have a packed agenda today. I think Phil is in the parking lot talking to Bloomberg as we speak, working with, I think they had a press release going out this morning. So he has texted me to say he is nearby and will be here on time. We didn't tell him what time. We lied to him. As you know, he's left us for an hour and a half while he was taking calls before. So we told him he had to be here at 10. That'll put him here around 11:30. No, so he'll be good. Welcome, everybody. We're just really happy to host this. I'm really happy that we don't have a snowstorm this morning, which we've had before. And I just wanted to start out this morning by watching Oliver do some dance across the floor.
In the back, they can't hear as much. Can you maybe...
Oh. This one? Will that? let me move this. How's that? Is that a little better? I've never asked anyone that they wanted. No one's ever said they want to hear me more. So just to get started, we have a full agenda. I want to start off with some gratitude and thank you to all of you, all our agents, all our teams, for your loyalty, your support, and the great things you do in the market, but also in the things you do in the community. I'd also like to recognize everyone behind the scenes. And not everyone knows everybody behind the scenes. So if you could stand, as I mentioned some of you, you make so much happen behind the scenes. The agent services, if you could please stand, the ones that are here, please. Branch admins. Our conveyancers and deal closings. Accounting, Jan. Operations, Mike. Our leadership support, Crystal. Marketing, and lastly, our managing brokers who are here. Also, guys, our managing brokers, we have 2 of 3 here. Jen is in Key West celebrating an anniversary. So lucky her. She's going to miss the snow, but she's missing this too. So thank you to everybody. I have an interesting market update for you, which I'm sure many of you have already felt. Jason prepared this for me yesterday. And so in our markets where we have offices in the first 10 days of the year, we have 69% more showings than we did in 2023 in the first 10 days of the year. A leading indicator for sure. We had 78% more sales, 123 versus 69 in our market areas, and 12% more listings, 280 versus 249. When I look at the showings though, we've had 4,300 showing requests in our areas versus 2,500 in the same 10 days last year. It feels like a leading indicator for sure, and it really feels that pent-up demand is beginning to show, very, very, very early, which is great. So it feels like the spring market is about to start. January 10th was the date we pulled this data, so it was yesterday. So my thoughts last night at about 4 a.m. was, holy, it's time. It's time. It's the spring now. It's time to get in gear with our activity. It's time to get deeply in touch with our past clients, Time to put out market data and annual market updates to homeowners. Time to start doing open houses, inspections, contacting absentee landlords. Time to up our marketing activity. The spring market is 100% here. And I think we all know if you have a good spring, you have a good year. So my message today is it's time, guys. We have a full agenda, as I said. I'd like to introduce you to our first guest. And I also want to give a special shout out to everybody who supports the Shelter Foundation. Whether it's a small commission-based donation or it's something big, it all contributes and makes a huge difference to families. I'm not sure if you remember, last year we put together an agent review team, an input team, and we had one meeting. That was it. And our one meeting helped put us on track to spend the next 6 months working on a bunch of projects. So I'm going to announce a couple of them today. And it led us to create, and this is Talia, as you know, thanks Talia. Next thing I knew, it was called Elevated Agent. And we've basically focused on 4 areas that we think, and we got some guidance on, that we should be focusing on for you guys and more intentionally. And so the 4 areas, and unfortunately it's washed out a little bit on the screen, but you know me, I'll just tell you. So we picked these 4 areas that we thought were most important, were guided. And the first one is business development. Second one is health and well-being. Third is marketing and technology. And lastly, financial coaching and health. And so over the next 30 days, we're going to launch one thing that is no cost to you, and it's a 5-star review program with a company called One-to-One Q&A. And it's a platform that allows you to send survey questions to your clients. They fill it out online. You go on the portal. If it's a review you like, you approve it, and it'll go up to your profile on our website. It's amazing. It just started a little while ago, and we're one of the first brokerages to adopt it. The second thing is health and well-being. Now, at the back of the room, you guys have met Kira, my wife, before. Kira Lidke. Hi, Kira. She drove today while I was looking at my notes. But Kira's a certified nutrition practitioner. And so she's going to be holding workshops 4 times a year in different areas of health. And she actually gave me a cheat sheet, so because I don't know exactly what she's going to do. But the first is strategies beyond nutrition to increase your personal well-being, sleep, supplements, and movement, importance of gut health, superfoods, impact on nutrition on personal performance, and seasonal requirements for supporting your immune health to warding off colds and flus. So these are things that came to our dashboard because Manulife had done a survey of employers across the country. In 2020, the organizations that had health and well-being as part of their offering to their people was 31% of corporations in Canada. By the end of 2022, 87% of companies have something going on for them. So we really thought that we better get behind this and be doing this for you guys too. Thirdly, marketing and technology. So we talked about having done for you websites. We have our first sample, we tested it yesterday, and it also has a vow tied to it. So it's a sold data site that's tied to it. If you want the sold data site on its own, you can have that. And if you want to subscribe to one of our websites, we can build it for you as well. They're incredibly inexpensive, and we're going to announce a presentation that we'll put together for anyone who's interested, and we'll send you details on that. There's lots of choices of layouts, colors, all this stuff, but the value that I see mostly is the vow and sending it to your clients and have them inside your room versus going to other companies to get the data to keep track. The last area of focus is the financial part of it, financial coaching and health. And we were part of early adoption with a company called Enriched Academy. And it was, about a year ago. Amy picked up the phone, maybe longer than a year ago. I don't always jump. So I reached out by Amy's prodding to Kevin Cochran. You guys remember Kevin Cochran? Do you know Kev? Kevin came up through, gosh, he was the right hand for Richard Robbins. He was a partner in Dominion Lending, and he's also co-founder of Enriched Academy. And it's an education platform that is available and free to everybody, to your families, and by extension, the knowledge you pick up will be available to your clients too through you. And so I'd like to introduce Kevin to come up and tell us about it. This is the first part of our launch today. Kev, welcome.
Thanks very much, pal. Appreciate it. Okay, thank you. Great.
I'm out.
It's okay if I take this off? Is that possible? Or
Sure.
okay.
You can clip that to your lapel if you want. That one too.
Oh, okay, good.
That makes the camera work.
Oh, it makes the camera? Okay, how about I just do this? Like, okay, good. Okay, cool. I'm stuck at tech. So thanks again for the opportunity to be here today, Alex. And it's awesome, right? Because we've been kind of working with your group here for the last 7-8 years through Enriched Academy. And I remember we did an event here years ago, right in this room. And it's great to be back here again today. So again, thank you. I'm Kevin Cochran. I'm co-founder of Enriched Academy. And what Enriched Academy is, for those of you who don't know, is a program that was actually, Finn, oh my gosh, how are you, sir? One of the nicest people you will ever meet in your entire life is sitting right there. I love that guy. A lot of my, such a great dude. Holy cow! Like there's like tears in my eyes. I love that guy. Wow, I love you. Anyways, like threw a curveball at me. Sorry. It was originally a program designed to teach teens and young adults everything they don't learn in school, primarily focused on money management, but we've evolved to a lot more. Very quickly about me, I'm 47 years old. I live in a small town called Uxbridge, Ontario, if anybody knows where Uxbridge, Ontario is. Yeah, not much to do there. I joke around there, a pub crawl started at Swiss Chalet because there's nothing to do in Uxbridge, but did grow up in Toronto as a high school student, wasn't very bright. Had about a 55% average in school, and I cheated to get that. And I'm going to rush through this because I have a limited amount of time, so I'm not talking this fast intentionally. But you know, after finishing high school, went in right into the workforce. I didn't go to post-secondary education, and for a couple of reasons. One, I didn't know what I wanted to do, and two, my marks weren't good enough. And after a couple of years after high school, I was a mechanic. I worked at Roots Clothing at Bayview Village, if you know where that is. And 2 years after finishing high school, I was over $20,000 in credit card debt. Bought my first car on a credit card. I joke around, my credit got so bad that someone stole my identity. My credit rating got better, right? That's how bad my credit rating was. And you start realizing, like out of school, like why didn't anybody teach me about money? It's crazy, right? And it carries on throughout life. And that's kind of how Enriched Academy got formed, was through that pain. And what we did is we actually created a program called Enriched Academy, which I'll kind of get into as we go through this. As I said, it was a program originally designed for teens. It was a DVD set. That was the first thing that we were. We actually did really well with it. Sold over 20,000 kits of that program. We actually were featured on the show Dragon's Den, which was kind of cool. That's like 10 years ago, so it's kind of really old news. But it was a cool experience. Believe it or not, we're one of the top 13 deals ever done on that show now, out of 3,000 pitches ever done. We had all the drag. Yeah, thanks. It's pretty cool, right? Thanks. It's kind of funny because, people ask what it was like to be on their show. It's kind of nerve-wracking, right? That you're there for 45 minutes, they trim you down to 5 minutes. Their job's to make you look as stupid as possible. I'm a nervous guy by nature. I didn't have a solid poo for 5 weeks after being on that show, right? So, ripped my inside out. But after getting on the show, we had all the Dragons been on the company. We signed royalty deals. We didn't really need money. We don't work with the Dragons anymore, but we still have a really great relationship with the two that we did work with. Jim Treliving being one of them. We're actually one of the top 3 deals he ever did on the show, which is kind of cool. Obviously, I'm not that tall. I'm standing on a box for every one of these pictures. I'm physically I'm not that tall, right? But after getting on the show, the company really did explode. We don't do DVDs anymore. That was a long time ago. We've rebuilt this company time and time again because we're trying to do something that's never been done, right? Financial literacy has not been figured out, right? We don't have any bank sponsors. We don't sell any financial products. We are fully self-funded. But after getting on the show, the company exploded. This is a snapshot of what we're doing right now. We have that's a low number. It's over 450,000 students a year that watch our program. Provincial contract with Alberta, Prince Edward Island, Manitoba, Saskatchewan about to launch on board. Another huge one that's about to be announced as well, which is really exciting. But that's hundreds of thousands of users of students that have to watch it to graduate, which is amazing, which is very difficult to do. Believe you me, hardest thing I've ever had to do as a company. But on top of that it's not just kids, it's adults that we work with as well. We actually just signed a contract with the Ontario Chiropractor Association, $200,000 to become a chiropractor, 8 years of schooling, they learn nothing about money. We worked with the OHL, a feeding system to the NHL. No idea about money. I worked with one player that just got signed with the Montreal Canadiens because I got a $250,000 signing bonus in front of his whole team. He was so excited to announce it. He goes, I got my first $90,000 check. I said, good for you. I go, were you taxed on that? He goes, I have no idea. Right? It's crazy. It's criminal. I think it's criminal. Right? We work with labor unions, the Canadian Armed Forces. I can go on and on and on. So the company has exploded into two channels. One is education for schools, and two, as Alex alluded to, a wellness program provided for financial wellness in the workplace because we need it. As Alex alluded to, I worked at Richard Robbins for 6 years. The day he opened up, I was there. Right? And it's amazing to see your industry, how much sales training there is. There's the Buffinis, the Richard Robbins, and whatever is out there, Floyd, whatever's there now, right? You should take it all. It's all good. But it all teaches you how to make money, but how to manage it. And what I find crazy is when I was working with these companies is that you see agents years behind on their taxes, right? Living on commission advance, working into their 70s, making millions in commissions throughout their career, and no retirement plan set up. And that to me is one of the saddest stories in real estate, right? Because I really believe this, and I sincerely mean this, is I think that if you put a hard 10 years into this business, I mean hard, and do it right, money should not be your biggest issue. It just shouldn't. It shouldn't be your biggest concern. Now, I'm not saying you're private jetting and living in mansions. This is not hey, I took Enrich Academy for 2 weeks and lost 10 pounds kind of company, right? No, this is a long-term, sustainable way to build wealth. So we're pretty excited. Just so you know, we collect none of your data in our company, number one, and number two is that we sell no financial products, none, zero whatsoever. So you're not going to go through our program where we're trying to sell you mutual fund, an ETF, a line of credit. We have no financial backers, no relationship with any bank or credit union in the country. So you're going to get unbiased opinions, which is great. And all of our coaches are certified, like the highest level that you can get, and they're paid salary. So we do not sell you anything, okay? Zero. And then we also have a great program for kids, which Alex did a great job negotiating into the contract, which is great because I think the kids are one of the most important things that you can do. I've got 3 kids myself. I've got a 13-year-old, 16-year-old, 18-year-old. And you know what? I'm hearing people like, my kids are going to live with me forever. Oh, it's going to be... No, I think what we're doing is we're teaching everything wrong now. I've been in this place long enough, for 10 years. We're doing it wrong. I guarantee it. I see kids working part-time jobs, saving money in a savings account. Why would you do that when you can open a trading account for free, right? And get them buying and selling stock under 18. My daughter, 18, just graduated with over $30,000 in the stock market. Not through my ideas, through watching this program, right? And so we're going to talk about all this, which is really, really exciting. So I'll just go to the next slide. Just so you know, our program's really designed for everybody here. We know there's really kind of 4 buckets this room falls into, okay? And I'm not here to judge, because it's just, these are the 4 buckets. I know some of you sitting in this room are in debt right now. And our program's going to address that, right? Just so you know, you're not alone. Millions of people are in debt. And how can you not be? You know what? Schools they're getting better, but they don't do a great job teaching kids about money. They're slowly getting better. Our parents didn't teach us because their parents didn't teach us, which is why poverty gets passed on. And the financial institutions do a great job hiding how money works. I love when people say the bank should be teaching about this. Why? Their job is to sell you money, not teach you about it, right? And I don't have no problem with that. That's a good business. Buy their stock. It's good stock, right? Some of you are paycheck to paycheck. You're not falling behind, but you're not getting ahead. Our program will deal with that. I know some of you are saving money right now, and you have no idea what your money is doing. We had one real estate agent, the lady come to our program years ago. She goes, I got $1 million with my financial advisor. Showed me your financial statement. Said, good for you. I go, what do you pay them? And she goes, I don't think I pay them. She goes, I think the bank pays them. I go, well, you're absolutely paying them. I go, and that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. But you should know, right? So we're going to talk about that in our program. And I know a lot of you are doing everything right. And maybe looking at buying your first investment property or second. Our program will help you do that, right? This is the problem we're trying to fix. I know half of Canadians right now live paycheck to paycheck. I'll ask everybody here a question. You don't need to answer it, but just ask yourself. Like, ask yourself, if your income stopped today, if you had no more money coming in as of right now, not another dime, how long could you maintain your current lifestyle that you live? Right? I did this talk about a week and a half ago, and somebody looked at their watch. They're like, I don't know, like 3:30, 4 o'clock. And again, I'm not here to judge. I've been there. You're going to laugh about it one day. And if you're starting your career, you probably should be in debt. Life's weird because to start your life, you're buying a house, car, start a family, and you're making the least amount of money. It's kind of upfront. It's weird. But if you're in your 40s and 50s living like this, you probably need a course correction, but you're not alone. Okay, we'll talk about that in our program. Right, 30% of Canadians don't pay off their credit card in full. I show this because it's important to know. This is my credit card right here. It's Royal Bank. We don't use Royal Bank as a sponsor. I just want to be real with it. This month I spent about $11,000 on my credit card because we did some repairs on the house. Right? How long do you think on a Royal Bank credit card it would take to pay off at 19% interest, making minimum payments? Like, what would you guess? Yeah. Yeah, it would take you 100 years and 7 months to pay it off. It actually tells you that, right? And the problem is if you ever seen a cigarette package, you know it's not good for you. It's warnings all over the place. This should be, they're screaming that I owe $11,000, but they're whispering that it'll take 100 years to pay it off, right? And they don't want you to know that. And this is why banks are not going to teach you about money. They don't want you to know about it. Right? Why would they? Right? And here's the thing, is that as I said, I had a doctor come to one of our programs years ago, and he was freaked out. He goes, Kev, I've been making minimum payments on my credit card for 3 years. I can't seem to get ahead. This is where the anxiety starts building up, because you're doing what they're asking you to do, but you're not moving forward. And that pressure just builds up. And this is why mental health and financial wellness fall hand in hand. You can't be happy when your financial, house is in shambles, right? Did you know that 47% of divorces are caused by marriage? Right? It's a big deal. Like it's a catastrophic problem that's causing issues. Not kidding. But 47% of divorces are caused by stress due to money. And again, if anybody's known anybody gone through a divorce, do you just leave that at home, that stress? No, you take it to work with you. You're like, oh my God. So you're distracted at work. You're not as productive as you should be. Right? These are really, really big issues. So a couple steps to financial freedom. I'm going to then roughly tell you what what you're getting here, which is great. This kind of gives you an example of what our program is about. These are kind of myths. This is stuff that real estate agents, we've had thousands of real estate agents go through our program in the past. We've updated a ton of stuff, but a lot of people come up to me and go, I don't get money, man. It's just complicated. It's really weird. I don't get it. I don't understand it. I go, yeah, of course you don't understand it, because it's a language we've never been taught. But we think the older we get, we'll pick it up, right? You know what I mean? But I've met 5-year-olds that speak 3 languages, right? And I'm 47, I barely speak 1. And the problem is if nobody sits you down and teaches you, you're not going to pick it up, right? I'll give you a perfect example. We got a kid here in our program. He's from London, Ontario. At 16 years old, he bought his first investment property. At 21 now, he owns 7. Right? A lot of people go, well, how did he, save money for his first property at 16? Did his parents lend him money? No. He did it how any hardworking 16-year-old would do it. He went door-to-door selling weed. And he did a really good job at it, right? So, no, he didn't sell weed. But he actually went door-to-door selling meat, saved enough money, bought this property, refinanced it, refurbished it, and did it over and over again. What I mean is that he understands the language. He picked it up at 16, right? He had to sit down and learn it. He didn't pick it up, he actually learned it, right? And that's what I'm talking about. We have to rethink how money works, right? A lot of people sit there and go, well, I just need to make more money. That's my problem. I got money issues. I need to make more money. If you think making more money is going to get you out of your situation, nothing could be further away from the truth. I'm in all for making more money, but you're up for like a real disappointment if you think that that's what's going to get you out of debt, right? We work with a lot of athletes, like I told you. 6 out of 10 NBA players are under financial distress within 5 years of retirement. Major League Baseball players file for bankruptcy 4 times higher than the national average. You won't find somebody that spoke to more real estate agents about money than Rich. I can promise you that. And it's crazy. We'll have in a room 100 real estate agents. They're all making different levels of income, but you'll have one agent making $90,000 a year and another one making $250,000, and the one making $90,000 has a higher net worth. Like, how's that possible? Right? You know what I mean? It's crazy. They're not making more money, but they have more money. Right? And this is the best analogy I can give you, right? You'll have an agent making $90,000 a year. They're stressed out. I'm not making enough money. I'm freaking out. What am I going to do? I go, what would solve your problem? They're like, make more money. That's it. Make more money. Right? And then they double their income, and guess what? Now instead of 2 years behind their taxes, they're 3 years behind on the taxes, but they have an Escalade in their driveway instead of a Suburban or whatever it may be, right? It's they got nicer stuff. This is the best analogy I can give you. Imagine you go to the gym, right? That's how I do it. You imagine it. It's not, you don't have to wake up, right? But imagine you go to the gym and I ask you to lift 90 pounds, representing $90,000, right? If you can't lift 90 pounds, could you lift 250 pounds? Like, be honest with yourself, right? You can't. If you're like, I can't lift 90, you can't lift 250. I promise you, I give you my word, if you can't manage 90,000, you can't manage 250. I promise you, okay? Like, we got to get that. I'm all for making more money. But, like, again, I don't care if work with police officers. I make 120, I worked overtime, made an extra 35,000. Instead of, getting out of debt, they have 2 more ATVs in their driveway, right? You know what I mean? It's fixing the wrong problem, right? Next, again, here's the reality is that you got to learn to master real estate, if you ask me. 2 things. Learn how to make money, learn how to manage and save it. That's what Richard Robbins, the Buffini programs do. They teach you how to make it. Take those courses forever. They're good. I don't care how long you've been in the business, keep getting trained, right? But learning how to manage and save it, you get an agent that has mastered both these skills, watch out, right? Watch out. We got to understand, good debt appreciates, bad debt depreciates. We know that, right? I'm not against debt. There's good debt and bad debt. Coaching, seminars, web, that's good stuff. Bad debt, vacation, cars. Like, I know this is basic stuff, but we keep shooting ourselves in the foot, right? It's crazy. Like, assets go up in value, liabilities lose value, right? If I asked anybody right now to go buy a stock that I guarantee you is going to lose 30% of its value within a year, would you do it? You wouldn't, and never go back up. Well, buying a brand new car is that, right? You buy a brand new car, it drops 30% of value, it's always losing value, but we still do it over and over again, right? Take a look at this. This is a brand new, this is from last year, but because we just switched years, we'll get an example shortly here. But a brand new Ram, $84,155, right? You can buy the exact same car 1 year old with $12,058.9, right? And people go, well, yeah, you don't get the smell. Well, you know what? You go to Esso, buy a new car scent, put it in every house, room in the house. That's what, suits you, right? It's insanity. And I read this in a book. I can't quote this, so that's why I'm very cautious saying stuff like this. But did you know you were allowed to keep a car for more than 4 years? Like, I didn't know that. Like, it's the craziest thing in the world. I think legally we think we have to do that, right? And it's insane because we'll pay off a car, no more car payments, best feeling in the world. About a month later, we're like, oh, I need new wheels, like new tires. Oh man, that's $1,000. That's crazy. Let's buy another $70,000 car. Yeah, that's way more sense, right? It's insanity. As Alex alluded to, another company I had prior to this was Dominion. Sold that business for over, I'm not saying this to impress you, just impress upon you. Sold that business for over $120 million. Life-changing day. Right? People go, what kind of car do you drive? Right? I drive a 2010 Ford F-150 pickup with 230,000 kilometers. I got 3 kids. My cars smell like vomit and goldfish crackers. Right? I don't need another car to smell like vomit and goldfish crackers. It's funny, it's actually getting repaired today, so I have to take another car. But you know what? I put about $2,000 in repairs a year into it, right? But you know what's crazy? People are like, well, you're a business owner, you can write stuff off. Yeah, you know what's better than a write-off? No car payment. Okay? Like, I'm serious. This is the stuff it's not the $5 cup of coffee. We don't live and die off of that. That's not why you're not buying an investment property. It's this, right? It's the mistakes that we make like this every 4 or 5 years. I'm telling you, every time we do the event, during break, somebody come up to me and go, look, I'm worth millions. It's my 2001 Lincoln Continental. It's a piece of shit. But nobody knows, right? Like, because this is how you do it. 76% of millionaires don't drive brand new cars. We've got to rethink what wealth is, right? We just need to. Wealth is quiet, rich is loud, poor is flashy, right? I live by that. I think it's great. People ask when Dominion sold, what kind of house do I live in? I live in a house that I bought in 2008 for $435,000. Didn't over house. Warren Buffett lives in the same house that he bought in 1947. And people go, well, that's not the way to live. You want to have fun. Anywhere I want to go, I can do that, have a great vacation, not think about money. It's great, right? But I'll tell you right now is that I didn't want to handcuff myself to, have a small overhead. Key to life. Because it's crazy. I'll see somebody go to a Richard Robbins event, come out, go, oh yeah, I need to buy get that marketing plan, and I'm going to hire that assistant, but then they're like, I can't afford it, and they walk to their car, it's a 2035 BMW supercharged something or other at a $2,000 a month payment. Right? And that's why, and so again, I'm not against having nice stuff, but don't put the cart in front of the horse. Our program will teach you all this stuff. Understanding fees. This is for those of you that are saving money, don't know where your money's doing. We had one real estate agent, most of you look at your financial statements and it looks like this. We don't even know what it says, and it's designed that way, right? And this is your life savings and we can't read it, right? And it's designed that way. We call it the language of money, and every industry confuses it. They don't want, they kind of make sure that, they create their own language every world, right? This is the top 4 leading causes of death in the United States back in 2019. Heart disease number 1, cancer number 2, iatrogenic cause number 3, respiratory disease number 4. 3rd leading cause of death in the United States, 700 deaths a day, iatrogenic cause. Anybody know what iatrogenic causes is? 3rd leading cause of death, right? It's doctor or medical error, 3rd leading cause. Google it, John Hopkins, right? This is a stat, 700, bad surgery, botched prescription, whatever it may be, right? But why do they call it iatrogenic causes? It sounds better than doctor fuck up, right? It just sounds like much nicer, right? And the same thing when it comes to financial services, they have something called MERs. Anybody know what an MER stands for? It's an acronym. Anybody know? If you don't know, it's fine. No, MER means management expense ratio. It's just a really fancy word for a commission, right? And unfortunately, Canada has some of the highest MERs in the world. This is a real estate agent. This is not, she allowed us to use her story, not her picture, but this is from Mississauga. 45 years old, came to our program, $350,000 invested with her advisor. She goes, I don't understand my fees, can you figure it out? And that's what we do. We help you do that. And we sat there and we go, oh, your fees are 2.7%. She goes, whew, that's okay. I'm making 97%, they're making 2.7. I go, no, 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 that's not the way the math works. What's 2.7% of $350,000, right? And we sat there and said, your fees are actually $9,450 a year. She didn't know, right? And that goes to the advisor, the mutual fund, the brokerage. It's the amount of disclosure you need in your industry versus this industry, it's criminal. It's criminal, right? And anyways, we sat there and we figured it out saying at a 6% return over the next 20 years, you should have $1.1 million, but after your fees of 2.7, you'll have $670,000, putting about a cost of $452,000. After going through our program, we helped her. We do not refer financial advisors. We have no lines with anybody, but we have a financial advisor interrogation kit. We'll teach you how to ask the right questions. We got our MERs down to 1.1, right? Putting $300,000 back in our pocket over the next 20 years. Like, how cool is that? Not working another hour. That's the role we play. Having clarity on your money, right? Build a passive income. Last couple points, and I'll get to the point of what we're doing here. You know what? Here's the reality: is unfortunately most real estate agents live like this. They exchange time for money. Everybody talks about it, and the problem is that we can't continue living like this because it'll burn out, anxiety, uncertainty. The average Canadian that retires comfortably has 3 streams of income. So you got to figure out what they're going to be. 1 or 2 investment properties, dividend-paying stocks, whatever it may be. You got to figure them out. Maybe a pension from a spouse or partner. I don't know what they are for you, but you have to start building this plan out. At some point, you can't run away that it's going to show up. The problem is how we think we're going to get out of this exchange for time for money is, I'll work more, I'll sell more, I'll double down, I'll sell more homes, I'll spend more time. So you're doubling down on a burnout strategy. Really what you need to do is look at your income like this. Unfortunately, most real estate agent incomes look like this. You know, more hours we work, that's the yellow line, the more money we make. But as soon as we stop working, it looks like this. Right? What you want is this, right? Is the older you get, you continue to earn more money because your investments slowly start paying off, paying you more, and you can slow down. People are like, I want to retire one day. I honestly don't think, you know what you want? You want to have the right to fire people out of your life. And that's it. And that's one of the best things money can do and peace of mind. Customers are like, I just don't want to deal with this customer. I know there's a $20,000 check there. I don't care. It's just not worth my headspace, and it's going to ruin my time with my family, or whatever it may be, right? And this is the way we need to think. But the problem is how we think we're going to get out of this treadmill of sales, especially in markets that slow down. Sometimes I see people, and I've seen this with like the best companies to work with, right? It's like, oh man, life's tough. The markets have corrected. I got to cut costs. And I've seen people that want to leave great companies like a Royal LePage, and I'm like, that's the dumbest thing you could ever do. This is the time to be with a company. I don't get paid to say this. I would never say something I don't believe in. But this is the time you want to double down on marketing and supports and team, and having owners that actually invest in you, not just you're a tenant, right? And I mean that. This is critically important to understand that right now, right? Critically important. But the last thing we want to talk about is this: make a plan, right? You know, it's funny because I'll have somebody come through our program and they'll be like, Kevin, I'm freaking out about money. I'm freaking out. Okay, calm down. Let's just figure this out. Like, what's your net worth? What are you sitting on right now? I have no idea what I'm worth. Okay, no problem. Well, how much do you want when you retire? At what rate of return? I don't know. I'm like, okay, well, there's the problem. You don't know where you are, and you don't know where you want to go. I got here from Uxbridge, and I had a GPS. The GPS needed to know 2 critical pieces of information. Guess what it was? Where I was and where I wanted to go. And it built me a plan, told me estimated time of arrival. Best, right? And I don't know if anybody's ever, this is a perfect example. Has anybody ever had a date night with your partner, spouse, going downtown? It's amazing. You know it's going to be a great day. You got your GPS going, estimated time of arrival, the speed traps, right? It's just the exits seem like they're not going fast enough, right? You got your Michael Bolton blaring. It's a good day, right? And then all of a sudden you lose your GPS connection, and then next thing you realize you're like, whoa, like, turn it back on. Like, is it this exit? Now the exit seems like it's going like this, and Guns N' Roses now playing, like Welcome to the Jungle. And you're like, I don't know, do we take this exit? Let's take this exit. Do we do this exit? Let's take this. How about this exit? And the problem is when you don't have this map for your money, that's what life's like. It's the same example I can give where you don't know where you are. Buy Bitcoin. Let's buy Bitcoin. It's up, it's down. Let's sell this and buy that. There's no strategy. You're just like, I don't know, let's just do something to feel like we're getting somewhere. But you could be going the wrong direction. All we need to do is calm down, right? And our program has everything you will need from A to Z. Okay, I'm not selling, it's already sold, right? Network trackers, everything. Retirement plan, all of it is built in for you to do this for you and build a plan A to Z to help you out, which is amazing. Warren Buffett said, you'll work to the day you die unless you learn how to make money while you sleep. And he's right, 100%. There's no doubt about it. And this isn't about owning 40 investment properties. One or two can make the biggest difference in your world. Biggest difference ever, right? So ways to use Enrich Academy very quickly, and I'll end this off. Your company is, again, and I mean this, you don't see most companies do this, especially in real estate, has made a hefty investment in this for you, okay? And really, really what we're here to provide are three things: online courses, training events, and financial coaching. So every one of you will get your own portal. Now, if you went out and bought our version of this portal, it was $600 per person. It has been covered for all of you. Okay, all of will have your name. Yeah, it's really awesome. We will have training courses to teach you out. You're going to get access to this very shortly through email. It's all video-based program, which is amazing. Have your name. Nobody has any access to any of the data you put into it. We have a ton of interviews, past prime ministers, the dragons, authors of books, Tyson George, that young kid, plus the 12 money modules. Plus, we've also unlocked the kids version of the program. So if you have kids, please get them to watch it. Please do, okay? It's one of the best things you could ever do. People go, how do I get my kid to watch it? Pay them $100 to watch it. It doesn't matter. Just get them to watch it, right? Debt crushers, I mean, it's incredible. I'm not going to go budget tracker, freedom factor, network trackers, phone reduction script. Even a phone reduction script. I swear I used this last September. You know when you just realize your bills are getting higher? I sat there, I was like, my Rogers bill is $240 a month now, $250 a month. And it's like, I know when we started it was $150. And made a phone call, it dropped down, they're like, okay, no problem, we'll drop you $70 a month. Like just by making a call, $840 after tax back in our pocket. It took 30 minutes for the call, right? There's leaks in all of our financial situations. Just simple stuff like this can make a big difference, right? Our training events, they're incredible. We're gonna start launching these again sometime over the next year, all included. These were $500 tickets. You don't have to pay anymore. They're covered, right? They're amazing. If you like this, give us another 4 or 5 hours of your time. Our virtual training events, you miss them, we record them, everything from understanding Bitcoin, not that we say you should buy or not buy, but it's their wills, how many people don't have wills, insurance. We worked with one real estate agent, had so overinsured, we don't sell insurance, but single, I think he's 27 years old, spending $3,000 a month in insurance. Like it was insanity. So again, that customizable training events, and one last thing, which I hid the slide for some reason. All of you have access to our strategy calls. That's a 60-minute call with one of our financial advisors and a 30-minute follow-up at no charge. Okay, that is a huge thing. And they're not there to sell you anything. Okay, that's what we do. That's what we provide. This is all included because Alex, Royal LePage Meadowtowne, has made an investment, and I mean this, not showing that they're interested in you. You're not a tenant. They're invested, right? The amount of times you hear the word family and group, and it's just, and I've worked with a lot of companies in this area, and I mean this. This is the one I would choose. And I know most of the owners. These guys are amazing, right? So Alex, the management team, thanks for believing in us. We will not let you down, right? This is it. There's nothing else to push against you other than putting all of you, but not just you, your families in a better financial situation, so that, honestly, just take this unnecessary pressure and not keep shooting ourselves in the foot with debt that we don't need to, right? Because I promise you this, there's no car, there's no restaurant, there's nothing that feels better than waking up and not worrying about money, right? I mean that. You're going to be a better salesperson, right? People can smell when you need to make money. It's called commission breath. Can't get it out of your mouth, right? You can search Clorets, doesn't take it out, right? This is going to calm you down, and I mean this. I know the market's made a correction. I promise you, with the amount of immigration coming to this country, which is a good thing, right? As we do it properly, this is Disneyland. The world wants to come here. Right? You know what I mean? We're going to have a housing shortage. Like, your market's going to be great. There's going to be bumps in the road. There's no doubt about it. But man, the next 10 years should be amazing. If you take this course and take the Richard Robinson Feeding, whatever course that you're providing, and give this a good 10 fucking years. I mean, good. Double down on it. I promise you, the money should not be an issue for you. Right? So very excited. Thanks, Alex. Thank you, everybody. Sorry to say. No, sorry about that. I just want to get back. I'm not leaving.
We're going to take a 5-minute bio break, and there's coffee on, etc. And then we're going to come back, and Phil Soper's in the room. So we'll be up now. See you at 5. Our guest, Phil Soper is here to tell you what the future holds for real estate forever. And we told Phil he had to be here for 9, and so he was, and he's been waiting in the parking lot most of the morning, so we tied him down this time. Anyway, welcome, Phil Soper, President CEO.
Morning, everybody. What a beautiful place to kick off the year. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being you. You're so awesome. You deal with all the things that this crazy industry throws at us with such grace. And it has been a crazy few years. The downs and ups and downs and ups and new regs and pandemics and massive corrections with monetary tightening, all that kind of thing. I actually think 2024 is going to be one of the more normal years that you've had to deal with if you've been in the industry, say, for a decade. Anyway, that's what I'm going to take you through today is my view on where we're at and where we're going. Make sense? So let's get rolling. I call it the Great Adjustment. That's sort of been the theme of our recent public relations. I was actually doing a Bloomberg piece this morning. We've got another report coming out on Monday, so pay attention. It'll be in the media, so it'll be on digital and TV and radio, all that kind of stuff. It captures what happened in the fourth quarter, and it reiterates the look ahead that we released a couple of weeks ago, which is positive. More positive, by the way, than the other serious forecasters, which would be the Canadian Real Estate Association, and a couple of banks do a pretty good job. The forecasts this year are really all over the map, indicating that no one really knows what the hell's going on. But we do try. We do try. Every quarter, our data team gets what they call the deep dive together, which is a dozen people, smart people. We've got an economist, we've got data scientists, we've got a sister company that does valuation on real estate for banks and insurance companies so they can write policies and mortgages. And that feeds into our data, feeds them so they can do that material, and then we get the data back so we can do the analysis and come up with our forecast. So we really, part of the reason that we get covered so extensively is we pay a lot of attention to the Canadian market, whereas the other real estate brands, if you see them in the media, what they're doing is they're reading a TREB report or reading a career report and they're commenting on it. We're actually doing the research, and people come to us to understand a different viewpoint. So with that, the Great Adjustment, what are we adjusting to? Well, this is my agenda. Can you see those? That one looks pretty good. That one's a little hazy. I'll explain it if the charts are too fuzzy to pick out from the distance. And as always, I'll make sure you get a copy should you want to dive through it. I go through this stuff, and I know you only have to sit through it probably once a year, unless you're in Chairman's Club, and then you get it twice. And but at least the other one's with a Mai Tai or something. I think it's important that you understand to a deeper level than your clients do what's going on in the economy and the real estate industry. Make sense? So if you sort of peel back the covers and you step away from your trading area, I can never hope to understand what's going on in your trading area the way you do, but I do spend a lot of time looking at the big picture, how it all the big pieces fit together. And I think when you bring the two together, it's when you can push this confidence onto your clients. They go, this person, my advisor, really knows what they're talking about, because they get barraged by all sorts of stuff, and it's typically negative. I've shared this in the past. I was having lunch with the business editor of the Financial Post, the business subset of the National Post, and he shared with me that negative stories get about 4 times the click-throughs, the readership of positive stories. People are attracted to car wrecks. I mean, all you have to do is flip through a few Instagram reels, and you know there's a lot of people wiping out, you know, on skateboards, car crashes, on dash cams, all that sort of thing. You can't turn your head away. And the same is for business news. So, and I'll give you an example, we'll dive into it later, but a little foreshadowing. There's been a lot of negative talk about the fact that a lot of Canadian mortgages are renewing over the next 24 months. Have you seen that? Oh my God, the tsunami of renewals. It's actually good news for the housing industry and the Canadian economy, not bad news, so I'll explain why. That's a little foreshadowing. So your company, your country, which is the economy, and the industry, and let's get rolling. So, your company, Canada's real estate company, 111 years old, the oldest real estate company in the country, and the largest, which is pretty cool, and the first at a whole bunch of different things. We'll talk about that later when we get to tech and such. 20,000 agents and another couple in our boutique offshoots like we have in Quebec, so big company. We are the leader in 200 markets, #1 in market share across the country, and as I always explain to people, it has less to do with pinning a medal on our chest, although that's fun. It's more to do with the fact that whoever is #1 in the marketplace tends to set the tone or the standard for what the rest of the marketplace are. So there are markets in the country, not big ones like Toronto or Mississauga, but smaller markets where there is what we call a low-fee, narrow-service company. A discount firm has high market share. What tends to happen is it drags down service levels and commission income, fees. Because when fees are lower, you don't have the revenue to spend to deliver the kind of service you want. Because all you have is time, right? That is cost. And so when a discount brokerage has high market shares leading in a trading area, it's bad for the whole industry. When Royal LePage is leading in a market, it lifts the whole industry because our competitors have to step forward and try to do what you're doing, and the fees you're putting in place in the community set the bar. So it's a good thing. We are about 14% of the industry overall, and have 1 in 3 transactions have a Royal LePage on one side or the other. So it's pretty cool. We hit way above our weight, $123 billion of real estate in a tough year, last year. And every 3 minutes a Royal LePager sells a home, and there we go. So you'll see that kind of thing coming to you that you can push through your digital channels, your social channels, on your website, that sort of thing. We'll do more and more of that. We're getting better and better at short media content that is catchy and grabby and that sort of thing. So well done, company. So Canada's real estate company, the world knows that. Really interestingly, if you go outside of Canada, which I do, I'm on the board of an outfit we'll talk about in a sec called the Realty Alliance, the biggest international think tank for real estate, and you think about Canada, you don't think about our other competitors like RE/MAX or Century 21. It's outside of Canada, they're thought of as American companies, or Engel & Volker, a German company. They don't, when they think about Canada and you're not in you're outside of Canada, you think about Royal LePage. So we have no problem getting affiliates. We're able to be choosy, right? We're like a poodle. Anybody into dogs? Have you noticed poodles? you know, they get laid more than any dog in the dog world. Everything's a doodle. Yeah, so we're sort of the doodle of the real estate world. Everybody wants to hang out with us. That was probably really inappropriate. We're going to edit that out of that little piece there. All right, just came to me. Sometimes I just say things. Leadership, our presence brand, our people. 9 out of 10 Canadians, this research from 2023, are familiar with the Roll LePage brand. Why is that so astounding when we're the biggest and we've been around 100 years? It's because we keep adding so many people that aren't in the real estate industry from outside. Last year, we added 1 million new Canadians. It's the biggest immigration cohort in Canadian history, dating way, way back. And we still get 9 out of 10. So the brand, you and your colleagues across the country are doing a great job of pushing awareness of the brand. But more importantly, in the red there, it says trust and reliability. When we go to market, we want to know, do people know about the brand, the company, and what do they associate it with? And we do it on our competitors too. And we outscore, we're the highest in Canadian real estate on trust and reliability. So why is that important? When we do a cross-reference and we ask people not what real estate company they like or what realtors they want to work with, but what they look for in an advisor, in an agent, number one is trust and reliability. More than anything else, clients want to be able to trust you because it's confusing to them. They get all this information from everywhere. The one thing they want in a realtor is someone that's not going to bullshit them, right? That's going to speak the truth. So when the brand is aligned with you, when the brand stands for trust and reliability, and you're trustworthy and reliable, the two of you are pulling in the same direction. It's like a really good dog sled with a doodle in the harness. We hit way above our weight in terms of what we call earned media. I've mentioned the Bloomberg, the BNN interview this morning. Forever, for years and years and years, we've been the number one in Canada in earned media. So what's earned media? Earned media, sometimes called public relations, is when you earn the right to speak through a trusted channel, be it CTV or CBC, or the Globe and Mail, the Toronto Star, or increasingly digital channels that push content out. We also, in recent years, have started tracking two other things. Top tier media, because there's a difference between a small blog, and by the way, we don't measure it. It's third-party organizations that measure all this, and they track the blogger who's got a real estate channel that you can pull up on your Apple under podcasts, and they track CTV, national news, right? So they track both. We have a special score for top tier coverage, and we really kick butt there. So when it comes to national media, they come to us way more, double the nearest close. Last year, 5 billion times we impressed the Roll LePage name on Canadian consumers. You'd think they'd be getting sick of us. Maybe no, they're not. And we win awards for this stuff. This is last year, the Canadian Public Relations Society, we won 2 awards for 2 pieces of work, the Millennial Demographic Survey and the Roll LePage Cost of Living Study that looked at the changes in cost of living and how they impacted the housing market. So we're constantly doing research. We focus on Canada, we understand Canada, and as a result, the media comes to us for our insight so they can help educate Canadians. I mentioned that international think tank. It's called the Realty Alliance. This is the cover of the January issue of Real Estate magazine in the United States. The largest circulation real estate magazine, and we're on the cover. You can see me down there in the lower left-hand corner. That's our board. We're the only Canadian outfit on this. I've been a principal for 20 years of this thing. We get so much value from sharing with them. And often, stuff happens in the United States. Anybody got water? Ah. I once was giving a little talk in Oakville. I get going fast. Thanks so much. And I started and it was post-COVID. And I started choking away at the mic because I was rattling on it. And I go, ah! And you could just see everybody shrinking into the, I'm like, no, it's not COVID, honestly. I just choke on my own saliva because I talk too much. Anyway, thank you. We get a lot of information from what's happening in the United States before it hits Canada. So we had yesterday, or was it the day before, they all run in together, a meeting with management, with Alex, the management team at Meadowtowne, and their peers right across the country, where we had the CEO of the Realty Alliance, our in-house lawyer, and we talked about the big lawsuits against the real estate industry in the United States, which are shaking things up, and got opinions, legal opinions. Luckily, the law in Canada, competition law, the way lawsuits work, we're not at the same kind of risk, but there are big settlements. RE/MAX just paid a $55 million fine for the way they conduct business in the United States, or fine settlement over a civil lawsuit. So it's this kind of thing that helps us prepare for the future so we can be ready when it hits us. And we get a lot of recognition. This is one of those rankings of international real estate leaders. And Carolyn Chang, our COO, and I were 2 of 5 Canadians on that international list this year. So thank you. Our website kicks ass. I mean, this was the very first website in Canada back in 1995, very, very early, a couple of years before what is now Realtor.ca was launched by the Canadian Real Estate Association. Still the #1 consumer portal real estate for a real estate company in the country. 42 million visitors last year. And the reason we had so many people is because of innovation in the digital platform. So for example, has anybody had a client mention they use our quick quote system? So we've seen seller leads. Real estate portals, since they first launched, are like Amazon. They're a place you go to shop for a house. You know, you go to buy something on Amazon or eBay or whatever, a digital or an online platform. You're a buyer going to buy things. That's the way real estate portals will work. We have listings. People come onto the site to buy something. So who's there? Buyers. We're trying to crack the code to how we use a real estate portal that gets 42 million people to be interested in selling through the website. We're not expecting we can come anywhere near to matching what you do in terms of your local trading area marketing, referral-based businesses. But we've quadrupled the number of seller leads, listing leads, in the last year with this thing called Quick Quote. So what is Quick Quote? It's essentially an AVM, an automated valuation machine or method, using all that data that I was telling you about at the beginning that we pulled together to do our studies. We're going, okay, we've got all this data, our competitors don't have any of this. What can we do that they can't do? So you can go on to rollapage.ca and click on a property, your neighbor's property, a street you liked, and you can get an automated valuation as to how much that is home worth today. It's a range. Honestly, you would never use it to list a home. But what it does is it gives people a bunch of information, and then we lead them. We just put the crumbs, like, you know, I guess Hansel and Gretel used that to get out of the forest. So find a metaphor for someone being led along into your waiting arms. That's the whole idea. We provide information on what the property's worth, and then we say, but to really understand it, you need to talk to a Royal LePage professional, and here's how you do that. And it provides so much more. First, it gets them there if they're interested in listening, and then it provides comfort that we're willing to share stuff, right? One of the things I learned years ago, I came into the industry 23 years ago when people were afraid to put a picture of the outside of a house online. They didn't want addresses in online. I came from the IT world, and I'm going, why? Well, because then they might not call me. My job is to, lead them to the house for sale. It seems absurd now, but that was only the early 2000s when people were, and every step of the way, we can't put sold data online because sold data is what I provide, and that's the value. Well, that's not the value you provide, right? Information they're going to find it somewhere. I'm sure all of you have looked at House Sigma, right? It's local, it's not a national thing, but they're going to provide it. They get it anyway. So we're pushing ahead. We're the liberalization company in Canada, and you'll see sold data on royallepage.ca probably, a couple of years ahead of anyone else in the country, and everybody else will be scrambling to catch up. And that transparency, that honesty that the brand puts forward builds that trust and reliability, and it makes people want to work with us. We don't feel like used car salesmen are the ones, the worst of used car salesmen. We feel like professional advisors offering advisory services for fee, which is exactly the sweet spot where we want to be. All right. SEO, search engine optimization. Those of you who have spent any money on websites know this is important. We rank ahead of everyone else. Why? Because we've got a big IT shop. Most of our competitors buy stuff from they license stuff from, say, Colorado, where their parent is, or New Jersey or whatever. We build it in Canada for Canadian real estate, and it works better. We've got the largest, fastest growing commercial real estate brand. If you look at who's number 2 now, CBRE, and then you've got Colliers and Cushman & Wakefield. This is a small part of the business overall. Only 653 out of 20,000 practitioners. But it's a halo brand. It's a little bit like, I like the metaphor of Corvette in the Chevrolet business. They make a lot more money on the boring vans and Chevy trucks and stuff than they do on the Corvette. But every time a Chevy driver sees a Corvette, they feel kind of lifted that's the technology. It just under my van, the hood of my van, there's a Corvette waiting to get out. When you see a Royal LePage commercial sign on a lovely building in your community, it elevates the whole brand. It's gravitas. So and it's profitable, and it's a nice way to earn a living. So good for you. I included this. It's a little video on the competition. It's a bit tongue-in-cheek. There was a multi-level marketing. The pyramid selling businesses were all the rage during the pandemic, right? That EXP, Real, the agency, and there was a lot of them spreading up. They never got any substantial market share in Canada, but they got a lot of noise. So what we've seen is Royal LePagers who during the pandemic went to one of them and came back. So we did a little video. It's kind of fun.
Pivot. Remember that word? The COVID-19 pandemic changed so much for so many, and so quickly. The real estate industry saw some agents reevaluate how, where, and with whom they do business. Some opted to ditch their office space in light of social distancing, while some chose virtual, low-fee brokerage models because they were struggling in an unpredictable market. At Royal LePage, we believe the key to success is having the best of both worlds. Leading-edge technology combined with the support, networking opportunities, and value that a professional office provides. Most times that shiny new object just isn't what it's cracked up to be. We recently spoke with several agents who left Royal LePage to join the likes of EXP and Real. All of them returned to us within less than 1 year. Here's what a few of them had to say.
I don't know what to say right now. Just give me a second. I'm out of here. I'm gonna go back to EXP. Never. It made me look unprofessional in some situations, not only with my clients, but also other realtors. Waiting for commission checks for an extended amount of time. My experience with EXP was very brief. Like here at Royal LePage, you have the front desk, they answer the phone, people would call and book showings, and it wasn't like that with EXP. It was just overall not as professional. And so when I had the opportunity to come back and speak with my broker, and I jumped at it. It felt like home when I came back. I would say that it's the best brokerage around, for sure. The support is there from the people that work there, and everybody that works there is helpful and kind, and it's like a family.
The most disappointing part of being with Real was just no ability to collaborate with anyone, no upper management to talk to. I really felt like we were alone. Our broker now owns 6 or 7 offices. There's always events, gatherings with Real. We totally felt alone.
I'd say the big challenge with the multi-level marketing model is it changes the focus of a fee-for-service professional. You're really not much different than a lawyer or an accountant or a management consultant. You offer your time for fee. It gets calculated in a different way, not a dollar per hour way, but that's really the business you're in. And people who win in this industry are focused on providing excellent client service. The focus is on the client. The problem with the multi-level marketing models is the focus is pariah-like. It's making money off their peers. When you drag your peers into your pyramid, you make money. So the focus shifts away from the client and excellent client service and on to talking others into your pyramid. So interestingly, one of the early pyramid selling models, Keller Williams, has pivoted. I don't know if you guys know any Keller Williams agents, but they have become more Royal LePage-like over time, with a focus on culture and training, as opposed to emphasizing the pyramid selling model. So I think the good ones, if they survive, they have to pivot away. But in the early stages, it's what provides fast growth for any pyramid selling model, whatever product you're taking to market. All right, let's talk about the economy. And I'll move quickly, but not so quickly that you lose my train of thought here. So firstly, everybody knows it was a pretty slow year, pretty crappy year from a transaction standpoint. We were down in the GTA about 23% in volume, and it was the slowest year in the last couple of decades from a transaction standpoint. The red line represents transaction count. You can see that huge dip when we artificially shut down the economy during the spring of 2020 for the pandemic, and then the massive unsustainable lift above that black line is the 10-year moving average, way up above. And when we saw those numbers rolling in 2021, we said, oh my, we're going to be paying the piper. The correction's going to be nasty. And it turned out to be even a little worse than we thought from a volume standpoint, because it dragged inflation everywhere. If it had just been real estate, it would have been about half the length of time. We're about 21 months into when the Bank of Canada started raising rates, if you can believe it. Time flies. And I think it would have been about half that if the whole economy hadn't been hammered by supply chain issues and inflation and such. One of the biggest causes of inflation was, paradoxically, the care itself. and that was 2/3 of Canadians own their homes. Mortgage costs went up by 30% when interest rates were moved up to combat inflation. So while on the far right of that chart you can see things like oil costs and things are a lot cheaper, mortgage costs are high. The good news is they're stable and they're falling. Whereas if we were talking last year, they're unstable and they're rising, right? So we're at the end of that tightening cycle. And if you pull mortgages out of the calculation of inflation in Canada, we're down to 2%. We're down to the ultimate target for the Bank of Canada. So that's good news. What the bank was hoping would be that people would spend less and take on less debt, and it's worked. In the third quarter, which is the latest quarter we have data, and the fourth it'll be even more, it was the slowest debt year, and we're not talking about mortgage debt, we're talking about revolving credit card debt, lines of credit. That's the slowest year in since 1990. 33 years we haven't seen people hang on to, sort of hunker down like they did in 2023. Unemployment also is one of the things that typically gets hammered when you have to take this kind of movement. When inflation gets out of hand, policymakers at central banks, they take a deep breath and they sigh. They go, okay, it's tough medicine, but we've got to do it. And they raise interest rates, they tighten the money supply, and unemployment spikes. But a weird thing happened this time. If you go back to 2022, we had 1 million unfilled jobs in Canada. We had a huge backlog of work that we couldn't get filled. It's why the immigration machine was cranked up. We'll talk about that in a second. Well, during the pandemic, or during the correction this last year, or last 21 months, we've eaten into that backlog. So it's come down dramatically. It's down by about 2/3, but it didn't eat into unemployment, particularly in the key home buying age of 25 to 55. Unemployment is still at record lows, or employment at record highs. And when people have jobs, of course, they can buy houses. And this is for people who like to geek out on economic charts, this is a pretty cool one. The white line is the issue when we go out to businesses and we say, what's your biggest challenge? And this is all businesses. And the white line says, I can't get the people. I just can't get people. And the red line says, there's not enough demand, not enough people buying my stuff. It wasn't a demand issue prior. If you go back into you see where the red line's way high, demand was hugely high, and the access to people was really low. Well, those lines evened out at the end of the pandemic, and now they finally crossed. So the people are not the big issue. So what does that really mean? That means that we're going to ease off on the immigration side of things and bring it back down to normal levels, and we'll see less of those record-breaking union settlements or the other kinds of wage inflation that make central banks raise interest rates. So this is the soft landing that policymakers like the Bank of Canada are looking for. In other words, it's working. And this is the graph of the inflation curve. Got up to 8.3%, that red line you can see there on the left of the chart. Really scary levels of inflation that we haven't seen since the 80s, and we're back down bouncing around 3. And it'll come down a little lower, particularly when mortgage costs start to come down. And you can see the bank's strategy here. If you look at, this goes back to 1980, and you can't see on these charts, oh, you can just see it, that blue line, that's the 50-year average of the bank rate. And it happens to be 5.3%, and we're sitting at 5 right now. So we're just below the long-term average on the bank rate. We're into low normal interest rates. Now, if you're 35 or younger, you probably, unless you're kind of weird and you paid attention to this sort of thing before you were 25, which most people don't until suddenly they have to rent their first home and they see rent prices going, suddenly they get all interested in real estate, right? There's exceptions like the young guy that Kevin threw up, but mostly it's sort of those that getting out of school, leaving the parents' home, paying taxes, suddenly you're interested in real estate. Over the last decade, we've had lower than normal interest rates, and we knew they had to rise. What triggered it a decade ago was the Great Recession, right? The collapse of the American financial system, 2008, interest rates had to plummet to help the economy, particularly the American economy, recover. And we were on our way up when the pandemic hit. We were moving back to normal rates, and the pandemic hit, and boom, they have to go this time down to zero. And now we've brought it back up to under the long-term norm for interest rates, and it's going to come back down again. So what does that mean? All that means is we're going to settle into a low-medium interest rate environment. Why is that important? Because low-medium is encouraging for the housing market. You get a lot of chatter about there's no way people can afford a home with today's interest rates. That's just not true. The reason people aren't engaging at the same level as normal in the market is because they're worried that a home they buy today is going to be worth less tomorrow. It has more to do with the fear about house prices than it does with the structural capacity of people to buy. Let's get into that a little bit deeper, that structural capacity. So we expect rates to start to come down in mid-year. Our model is built on a July 25 basis point, a quarter of a percentage point drop. Some big banks have suggested we'll see that in the second quarter. Some people think it's a little farther out. This part is a little bit fuzzy. But my point is, it doesn't matter as much as you think, because I think the trigger to recovery is not dropping interest rates, but having stability and appreciation return to housing prices. There's a window of opportunity here that particularly first-time home buyers haven't seen in probably the time that they've been interested in buying houses. In their lives, first-time home buyers, home prices always go up. And they go up at a rate that's uncomfortably fast. So they're always chasing them. They're trying to get the down payment. They're trying to, earn the money that they can get into housing. And it seems for a lot of them like a hopeless chase because home prices are going up so quickly. We've had an extended period of time now where home prices have been flat, allowing them to catch up, and their incomes have been rising. All right, so diving a little deeper into this thesis. One of the big reasons that the industry is so healthy is we have so many people to house. If you're in a country that's shrinking, and most of the developed world is shrinking right now, depopulation is their worry. We're lucky because we have a functioning immigration system and we're able to grow at that 1% a year rate, which allows us to replace some of the people that are retiring. This slowdown that we've seen over the last 21 months has also allowed us to catch up on inventory a little bit. We got down to, in Mississauga, there were points where we were under 4 weeks of inventory. You remember that, right, during the pandemic? Crisis levels in terms of housing shortage. A little segue to back to the earned media thing. We've been hammering the housing shortage story since the middle of the teens, about 10 years. Hammering. Won a big international PR award for our work. It was 2 years ago on the housing shortage and its fundamental causes. Until probably 3 years ago, politicians focused on demand side quelling as a solution to the housing problem. What I mean by that, they tax people, foreign taxes, additional taxes on transactions, land transfer taxes, tax, try to slow down demand. But that doesn't work with a necessity. It'll work with a luxury. If you wanted to slow down, the sales at Tiffany's, you could raise taxes and people would buy less jewelry because it's not a necessity. But when it comes to food or shelter, all you're doing is causing people to delay. It's not like they're not going to put a roof over their head. So demand side taxes never made sense. We hammered it. The only solution was supply. We needed more supply, and the message is out there now. So you see it at all three levels of government. Doesn't mean they're going to execute well on strategies to fix the supply issue, but at least we're all on the same board pushing the same way. We need more housing. In addition to those 40 million Canadians, we have a group of people that don't get talked about very often who also need a roof over their head. We call these the non-permanent residents. Who are they? Well, 1 million of them are foreign students. They come here, they pay 3-4 times the tuition as our kids, they keep our great institutions going, they add cultural diversity, and importantly, these highly educated people who learn our culture, our languages, French and English, are one of the great sources of new Canadians. So they need a roof over their head. And we have about 1.5 million workers, nurses, engineers, programmers, people that we couldn't fill a job, so they're here on temporary working permits. They need a roof too. So what has this done? It's put pressure on rents. People pay, you guys know, right? Rents are through the roof. So there's no escape for people. They can't just, homes are too expensive, so I'm going to rent. Rents are so expensive. The good news for your industry, the good news for the long term, is that we have a stronger working age population than other advanced nations in the world. The red line is Canada. That's the change in population in the 15 to 64-year-old category. You can see our growth. The blue is America, and you can see the EU and Britain down there basically flat. Why is this important? Because the number of people retiring today far outpaces the number of people that are getting into the workforce organically. In other words, people were born and raised here. So we're in this huge deficit. That's how you get 1 million unfulfilled jobs, right? You don't have people to pay taxes. You don't have people to keep the country running. And we're able to do it through immigration and this piece of the puzzle, the non-permanent residents. And they all need housing, which is great news for us because it allows us to provide all that to them. So the other piece of the puzzle, when you're looking at why I believe the market's going to leap back into life, is the savings rate. Remember I showed you the chart earlier that showed people are taking on less debt? Their discretionary spending is down. Well, it's going into savings. So we're sitting at about 5.1 now, which is 2.5 times normal. People are sitting on cash. They're working because the unemployment rate's so low. And when you get into this part of the puzzle, I'm not worried about the turnover in mortgages. And let me explain why. So over the last 21 months, we've had people rolling into higher rate mortgages. What is getting most of the media these days is what's going to happen this year and next year, another 45%. By the end of next year, about 80% of all mortgages will have rolled into post-pandemic mid-single-digit mortgages. You can get a mortgage now, as you guys know, for around 5% on a 5-year fixed. And that'll get lower, right? That'll come down a little bit. Bond rates will ease off as interest rates ease off. And you'll be looking at this year getting into 4-point-something% mortgages. People can afford those mortgages. We know that historically, but most importantly, the biggest reason we know that is this chart, which is the delinquency rate. It's probably the most important chart in my deck, which shows, it goes back to 2015, it shows what's happened to people who can't meet their obligations to their bank, who default on their mortgages. Back then, and by the way, the left-hand scale there is all a fraction of 1%. It starts at 0.37, so 1/3 of 1%. And we have worked it down in Canada through to today to 0.15. So 15/100ths of 1% of people are not meeting their obligation to their bank. Lowest in the world. And we've got 21 months of history already of people rolling on to post-pandemic mortgages that are considerably higher. That $300, $400, $500 more a month that they weren't anticipating on a detached home. People have the capacity, they're working, they have the down payment, they have savings, and I'm not worried about collapsing real estate markets as people adjust to higher mortgage rates, because we've shown our ability to manage this, and our default rate is so incredibly low. We are set up for success, my friends. So what does that mean for an outlook for prices? We see the bottom happening as we speak. So we won't get week over week indications on where home prices are, but we think they bottomed out here in January 2024, and we believe this quarter, by March, we'll be reporting the first home price increases. So that trend to marginally lower, in the fourth quarter, for example, prices were down 1.7% across the country compared to the third quarter. Not much, 1.5%, but we believe that is flattened, and that the first uptick will happen this quarter. And when that news gets out, people will realize the window's closing. The window in which modest decrease in mortgage rates, or in the bank rate, I should say, finishing the year up 5.5%. That's our outlook. It's more aggressive than the other serious forecasters, but I believe it's built on solid logic, and we'll watch this space, and I'll buy you a drink next year if I'm way off. And here's how it breaks out by city. You can see Calgary's outpacing, the GTA's in second place at 6%, Calgary's at 8%. Calgary's outpacing. It's a good solid economy, no more solid than Southern Ontario, but home prices there are half what they are here. And they had a real slow period when oil was low. And everywhere, in Regina, you can see it's just plummeted. We have really tight rental markets across the country. Now, one of the things that the feds did that actually had immediate response, people catch that they have removed HST or GST, I guess, on purpose-built rentals. Anyway, they have. It's a national program, and there's already major programs in place, Southern Ontario and across the country, for purpose-built rental. And it's good news, because those are our future customers, and we want to get them into their own housing and wanting to purchase homes. So there's an opportunity here, and we see the opportunity in what we're calling investor's edge. We did some research last year on the investment market, and we found that 4.4 million Canadians were landlords. They owned investment partners. I'm not talking about corporations, big companies that own a towering high-rise. These are people that own 1, 2, maybe it's their business, and they own 20 condos, 20 units, 20 pieces of property. 4.4 million people. 32% of Canadians, or of this group, own more than one. And the last one I really get a kick out of, 15% of this 4.5 million investors in the country don't even own their primary residence. These are young people, typically under 35 years old. So a little personal story. Daughter number 3, not married off yet, but engaged. You know, I'm assessing the young man. You got to determine whether she is or he is worthy to my noble daughter. And I hear that him and his little brother have bought a property. And I go, wow. And I ask Luca, what's this about? He goes, yeah, it's an investment property. He lives in Calgary, by the way. And his brother lives in Toronto. I go, where? And he goes, in St. Catharines. And I go, why? Why St. Catharines? Well, because it was the best deal. That's the other thing this research showed. More and more investors are buying investment property away from where they live using tools like rollapage.ca. So a light bulb went on in the head of our strategic business services group, headed up by the all-intelligent Carolyn Cheng, and we started doing research into this segment of the market. And so we're launching in 2024 Investor's Edge, which is essentially a way to provide you with a technology base that will be part of our RLP Sphere, an extension of that, like rollapage.ca, an extension of that focused specifically on giving you the tools and the coaching and the training to succeed in addressing this high growth market, the investor's place. So watch this space, even if it's not for you, you know, sort of like Rollapage commercial. As we do more and more investor advisory services, it'll lift the company up overall. So watch this space, very exciting. RLP Sphere itself, Canada's first and still the only, I'm shocked because this is the 4th year it's been in place, put it in place in 2020, end-to-end digital platform, cloud-based, AI-driven, continues to drive a lot of volume. 68 million automated contacts now through queued calls, emails, texts, all automated. If you put it on automated, we've got 4 million of your contacts in your systems, in your CRMs, and those websites and those CRMs built for Canada, Canadian real estate, are all provided you free of charge, which is why I am baffled that our usage rate is only 50%. So that's why I keep including it in my charts and beating you over the head with it. Only half of you are using this great free service. Why are you paying for the other stuff when you've got something that's better, part of the company? So the next, get started with RLP Sphere education that you see rolling out from Rollapage Learning Services. I urge you to at least have a look. Lots and lots of always on social media, interesting digital stuff like that TikTok sold every 3 minutes Rollapage sold. So watch the space, you know, make a habit of getting into RLP network at least weekly to understand what's new and read some of those communications that we spam you with. Lots of preferred suppliers. I throw this up just so you can sort of scan the list. And if you personally, for example, I'm a big fan of Medcan. It's a way to really look after your health personally. We've negotiated a deal with Medcan. If you're going to help clients get started, you know, Wayfair. We've got deals with Wayfair. Want to get fit? We've got a deal with Good Life. So pay attention to this. It's in RLP Network, marketing preferred suppliers. Go on there, have a look. There's some gems in there. When you have a company, you know, 20,000 agents, another 3,000 managers, administrators, 23,000 people, we can negotiate some pretty good deals. Lisa talked about the Shelter Foundation. So proud of what you guys have done. Record-breaking year. I walked up mountains with Brianna, and I know Hunter climbed in Ecuador. Thank you for supporting them. Biggest fundraiser we've ever done at $1.7 million. I'm also glad we didn't leave Brianna on the side of a mountain. There were times when She said, go on, go on. I can't go on. Just tell my family I love them. But we didn't leave her there, and that's a good thing because we want her to mark again. This year's challenge, following on, we do a trek every other year. This year's challenge is in Colombia with the Colombia Ride for Shelter. And we've got a cool little welcome video.
911, what's your emergency? What we doing? How are you?
Ride with us on July 22nd, where Royal Age riders across Canada will set out on an extraordinary week filled with courage, camaraderie, and a shared mission to empower those in need. Ride for Shelter, Colombia. This is not just a ride. This will be an immersive experience that brings people together, transcending borders and cultures. With every twist of the throttle, we are igniting a spark of change. Together, we can create a world where women find strength, support, and security 1 mile at a time. Adversity through adventure is a choice. Adversity through abuse is not. Ride Colombia. Ride for Shelter.
If you're a rider and you're into a big challenge, reach out, send me a note, philsoper@rollapage.ca, reach out to someone in the Shelter Foundation. If not, please support a rider near you. You have riders in your community who will be participating in this for the very first time in a Roll a Page Riding Club ride. We have, call it an easier route. So we've organized the main route. We did this 2 years ago in the Himalayas, in India, and it was tough. It was only about 60% of the people finished. Nobody died. There was some, it's no more dangerous than the bloody treks, I can tell you, having been on them for a decade. These adventure things, they're tough, but they're thrilling. And this time we have one for less experienced riders, a route. You meet together every night. So if you're a rider, but you've never done kind of off-road adventure riding, you've got lots of time to prepare. If not, please support the 2024 challenge. It's going to be epic, and we'd like to just continue the ball rolling. It does so much good work in your community. So thank you for that. This fall, we're going to Calgary, my old hometown. Haven't lived there in 30 years, but I still hold it near and dear to my heart. Registration opens in, I guess, probably 8-10 weeks. These things have a tendency to sell out now. You know, the company's gotten bigger, but the convention centers and things have not. So think about it, do your thinking before registration opens, and then get on it. You guys, Meadowtowne's always got a big contingent at National Conference. This one's going to be special. It's going to be awesome. So we'll see you there. Hopefully you got the message from me that I'm really optimistic about 2024. I think we're off to a solid start here in January, and it's going to be one of those good years. So thanks for your time today.
Thank God. Thanks, Phil. That was wonderful, and there's a pile of information there, lots of great data. We get to have your presentation, and we'll share it with you. And I can tell you that it appears that lunch is served. Is that right? So great kickoff, great seeing everybody today, and look forward to just a good spring market that started 10 days ago. So thank you.